Hey, what's going on? This is Dylan.
My name is Leslie.
And this is Music and Mascara in the Car. What are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about life.
Okay.
Too deep?
That's too deep. It's not too deep. Okay.
Right.
So let's talk about life. We didn't make a podcast last week.
We didn't because we were living life.
We were living life. We were in Florida.
Yes.
It was amazing.
We did we had some sunrises and some sunsets on the beach.
That was pretty awesome. To be able to go to the Atlantic one day and then go to the Gulf side the next and see sunrise, sunset. It was pretty sweet. We got to eat at some cool places in Tampa because we went to Tampa. We went to Hilton Head.
Our anniversary.
It was our anniversary.
Yes.
So we made a thing of it.
It was nice.
It was really fun. And of course, well, you had Monday off, which means I had Monday off.
Yes.
Because I just take Mondays off when you take them off. And that made the...
So we didn't record a podcast,
No.
and then we were like, Monday's a holiday. Let's just wait.
Yep. Our YouTube channel surpassed 1,000
Yes.
subscribers, which is
Finally.
kind of a cool deal. Because that just... It's just like the first hardest milestone.
First
For those of you that are
milestone.
not familiar with YouTube stuff, 1,000 subscribers is hard. The very first 1,000 is really hard. And as you build and build and build, it gets easier. It doesn't ever really get easy, but it gets easier. But that first 1,000 is tough. It took us a long time.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. So thank you all for
Yes.
that.
And if you're not subscribed, I'll leave a link.
Yeah. And then we got back and went to work. It was really, really busy.
It was a crazy week.
Yeah, because with your the stuff that you do, if you take a day off, then you're like busier the next day, right? Like it's a lot of times.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of it. I guess I was off Friday too.
Oh yeah.
So off Friday, global business, and obviously U.S. is just a small piece of the world. People don't understand that. So a U.S. holiday in a global company does not slow down on Monday while you're not at work.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about this earlier this week. Like, you had some crazy, just customer service situations and stuff. What's the most challenging thing about being customer facing that you see on a daily basis that you constantly have to deal with over and over?
Well, people ask questions or want something to be done and don't really know what they're asking. So understanding, being able to zoom out and understand what somebody's really asking or what they really need. You know, they may ask you for something, but that might not be what they really need either. So just understanding the full picture of the situation to be able to help them the best.
Right. Yeah, I get that too. We get customers will email us and they will ask about something thinking they want a particular thing, and then but it's not actually what they want because maybe they don't know for sure, or
Right.
they're not totally familiar with what they think they're asking. And it's hard because you don't want to tell somebody they're wrong. You don't want to tell them, no, that's not what you actually want.
Right.
You want this other thing. Or that's not the way to solve that problem. I'm going to tell you how to solve it. Or that's not even the problem you're having. Like in your case,
Yeah.
I think that's what happens.
Yeah, and you don't want, you could just answer their question, but ultimately it might not help them. So that's still not giving them a good service, because it's a crappy
Right.
attitude to just be like, I answered the question you asked me.
Mm-hmm.
No, you really want them to feel helped and empowered,
Yeah. It's just, so it's hard to try to identify that especially with what you do, because you don't have, well, me too, emails. You don't have voices and faces. Like,
Right.
You can't see the tone of, you can't hear the tone of a
Right.
email sometimes, and you have to really work hard on that. It's funny because the other thing that we're doing this week is we're working on some stuff with where Music and Mascara is going in the future, and so we've been
on that side.
Yeah, we've been on the consumer
Yeah.
side. So many times stuff we talk about is being on the business side, going out to consumers, but
we are consumers too.
yeah, and we've spent a lot of time on the talking to salespeople and talking to customer service people
and researching.
Way more than normal. Normally, all I do is I do all my research on the internet, and I just go in somewhere and I just say, give me this for this price, and if they don't do it, I just leave, and if they do it, then I buy it. But lately I've had stuff that I didn't know anything about, and it was kind of hard to do the research online, so I literally had to like go in and interact with people, which, I mean, in 2020 that's sort of weird, right? Like, normally you can just get online and just ask a bunch of questions and get fairly educated.
Yeah,
and,
but
and buy it.
That's funny because it also reminds you, like, we consider the internet to be such a good source of information, but remember, I mean, we're old. Like, when it started, it was like, oh my gosh, you can't trust anything. Anybody can post anything on the internet. But then it got really good. But now I feel like it's flooded again with, like, there's so much misinformation or outdated information, and it's hard to find exactly what you need a lot of times.
Yep.
Because it's like some people are really good at SEO, but it's like from years ago and I don't care, and I can't get rid of it popping up, and it doesn't serve me.
So the sales process and the customer service process has definitely changed in the last few years from the old school, like, plaid salesman jacket, old fashioned, hey, what can I do to get you to buy? Like that whole cheesy thing.
Yeah.
I think has changed a lot. I think there are a few businesses, areas of the world that don't get this yet, like maybe car salesmen, maybe, or someone, we were trying to think of some, furniture furniture people. I don't know, there's a few
real estate, like very commission-based businesses are kind of old school.
If you can think of some other ones, put them in the comments, because we were trying to think of some before we started this, and like the kind of sales situations or customer service situations where you're like, I need to go buy a car, or I need to go buy a house, or I need to go buy a new couch, but I am dreading going in there.
Yeah. What is
right?
that?
Like, so why do we do that? Why do we dread?
Yeah.
Why we go in there? First of all,
we dread it because the people can be atrocious.
Totally annoying.
Yes.
Totally annoying. What's the thing that annoys you about salespeople the most?
Outside of having to talk to them at all? What annoys me the most? Asking me for the bottom line.
Oh, what's your bottom line dollar?
Yes.
Yeah. Probably the thing I hate hearing the most is that whole, what can we do to get you to buy this thing today?
Right.
I hate that. I totally hate that.
Be like, first of all, don't talk to me like that.
Right. Yeah, it's a respect thing, right?
Yeah. What about bad information?
Yeah.
That's a funny one.
We've had multiple salespeople tell us that something that we know 100% is impossible.
Yes.
And it's been the same thing.
Yes.
Across states, across dealerships, across locations, and they've you could do this, and it's totally impossible, 100% impossible.
But can you?
But they do it because they're trying to be impressive. They're trying to
Yeah.
I guess make a funny, but it means that they're speaking inaccurately, and I can't.
For sure.
stand that.
And if I ask you a question, usually it's an informed question. I mean, sometimes I have just random, I have no clue questions, but a lot of times I have a question for a reason. And if you give me a bogus answer, I'm going to know it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I would much rather somebody tell me, I'm not sure.
I don't
or,
know. Let me go look
find
it
out.
up. Yeah.
Or, I mean, we've had some people and they're like, I'm really new to this. Do you mind if I look at my notes on my phone? Like, no, I don't. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Give me the correct information.
Please give me the correct information, and don't make up something to make yourself sound amazing, because it makes you sound dumb.
Yep.
Yeah.
So funny.
And I think, we could like bag on salespeople all the time, but and I'm not one to do that, honestly.
No.
So this is not the point of this conversation, is not to do that. I think a lot of people, car salesmen or whoever it is, furniture, or, whoever you're talking about, they're subhuman almost. I mean, people, and I've even thought that myself in the past, but there are people that are put in a position by wherever they work or whatever to sell stuff.
Yeah.
And there are certain businesses, especially some of the ones we mentioned, that don't totally understand how the 21st century works yet. Consumers are different. There are many people who, me included, who, let's take a car for example. I'll do lots of research. I'll know what options I want. I'll probably know what color I want. I'll probably know most everything I want about it. Almost everything I want about it. Except I haven't sat in it yet. I haven't driven it yet.
Okay.
That's not something you can just order on Amazon, have it show up in 2 days, and have it be 100% right every time. You have to, although there are businesses that do that now.
There are.
But for me, I still want to feel it and touch it and see it and that sort of thing. I probably already have my mind made up that I'm going to buy the thing. I just want to make sure that when I go in there and, this feels like I expected it to feel. But then when I walk in and you got some old school dude who's like, what can we get you to do to buy this today? I'm like, you just ruined it. You just totally ruined it.
You should tell him that next time.
I know. I should.
You totally just ruined
You just totally
my
ruined
experience.
the entire thing, dude. And then there are going to be times where you don't know much about something and you need to ask a bunch of questions and be educated.
Right.
Because I think a lot of 21st century consumers want to be educated about what they're buying. They don't want to be sold something.
For sure.
Right? Because let's face it, anybody who goes into a place wants what's in there. That's why they went there.
Right.
Right? So
there is some intent to buy, whether that day or in the near future.
Yeah.
You don't just randomly go in these places for no reason.
So give that person a reason. We always talked about in sales. When I was in sales before, we talked about be-backs. You never wanted somebody who said they were going to come back. My feeling is in the 21st century, you want to give them a reason to come back.
Right.
I want to give you a reason to not go anywhere else. I want to give you a reason to come back.
Yep.
Because you're going to tell your friends, I want to give you a reason to come back. And I know that flies in the face of old school reasoning, but that's how the world is now. Because there's going to be multiple levels of where you are in the sales process.
Yeah.
I'm still educating myself. Education, to me, that's the thing.
For sure. So let's talk about why are salespeople like that?
Okay.
There are some key characteristics of a really good salesperson that makes them good at what they do.
Yep.
But it also can help us appreciate maybe why they are the way they are, etc. So the first
humanize them to us as consumers a little bit.
So the first thing I think about, and exactly what we're saying can be a little offsetting for different reasons. We are two different people, but an assertiveness.
Yeah.
An assertive person to me, it just really sets me off. I don't want any part of that, because I'm a very non-aggressive, assertive person. Um, but assertiveness is key for what they do, because they've got to be able to like speak up, ask the questions. They want to drive the conversation, and I get that. Like, that is their job, is to drive that conversation,
Right.
because they do want to make a sale. Makes sense. What do you think about assertiveness in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think, but knowing that,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that you as a consumer, me as a consumer, also has to have going
True.
into
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you almost have to match them. I don't want to say blow for blow because that sounds negative, but you almost have to match whatever they're hitting you with. You kind of have
Yeah.
to match it. And if they're being very assertive, then you have to be very assertive and say,
Right.
well, this is what I came here for.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking for. This is what I need.
Yep.
And this is how much I want to spend, or whatever. However you do, we won't get into how to buy something, but whatever your process when you purchase something, or you're looking to purchase something, whatever that process is, or if I'm just looking today,
Yep.
or I'm just here on a fact-finding mission today, I'm not buying until next month, you need to be just as assertive as the other person is, respectfully, of course, and kind of match them in that.
I like that take. Yeah.
And then the next thing I think is, if they respect that, to me, that right there, it will tell me if I'm going to proceed at all. Because if they do not respect that, then I also probably know that I'm not going to get satisfactory answers to my fact-finding mission that I'm here to find out.
I like it.
So if somebody somebody does not respect that, and they'll still push, then I'm just like, you know what? I'm out.
Which is even interesting that you said that. So the next personality, trait that I think about is they still need to be flexible. And if you can't be flexible in like, okay, this customer comes with knowledge, knows what they want, and I'm going to be more compliant to listen and understand and make sure I follow their direction because they want to drive that. So that would be a level of flexibility too. And just, different people, different needs, because if you walked in the door to buy something and I walked in the door to buy something, that would be handled. It would need to be handled completely different.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they have to be flexible because people are so different.
Yeah, and you'll feel that.
Yeah.
If
they're good.
If a salesperson is good, they'll be flexible with how they give you information, or impart knowledge to you, or whatever that is. And again, if you don't get a feeling from that you like, then maybe they're not the salesperson for you. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Trust your gut.
Which goes back to the assertive thing.
Yeah.
You know what? We joked about that. Like, dude, we're not getting along. I need a different salesperson. I mean, you could say that. I've never had to do that. I just leave.
Right.
But you could. I mean, that's a thing. What's the next personality?
The next thing that makes me think is they're typically achievers, right? They have a goal. They want to hit their goal. Like, they are achievers. But what that also should mean, yes, they want to close the sale, but they want to close the right sale.
Yep.
They want it to be what the customer wants, that the customer is happy, not have been so assertive and push somebody into something that they are going to regret or, want to return. So.
Which leads me to the thing that I think is one of the most important things that old school salespeople don't do, and that is listen.
Yeah.
You should listen to the other person.
Yeah. Listen
when you were talking
more
about
than you talk.
When you're talking about the achiever part.
Yeah.
Again, matching that with you as a consumer. I'm trying to achieve a thing too. Like, you're trying to sell me something. I'm trying to buy something and use it for a thing and make my life better because that's why I'm here. I need this thing to do a thing. Same thing. Match it.
Yep.
Just match whatever energy they have. And if you can't, maybe they're not the salesperson for you. But them listening to you is probably the most important thing to do that, because if that's going to be the key thing to communication.
For sure.
In the entire thing.
And the last one, I don't know if what terminology might be better, but I think of them as being people pleasers, which sounds contradictory to everything we just talked about. But I do think they ultimately, a good salesperson is a people person. They like to talk to people. They like to interact with people. They like to have relationships with people because they don't want to miss any opportunity to get a sale.
Right.
And you don't know these things. I mean, you might be, out in the middle of somewhere. You're a car salesman, and you are chatting with a friend of yours that you bump into, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're gonna have to look for blah 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 soon." I mean, then you're gonna know, like, "Oh, well, did you know I'm in car sales? I'd love to help you." You're listening and you're interacting with people so that you can have more of those interactions. Obviously.
Yep. It just makes the whole thing way more pleasant,
yep.
too. It's interesting, so to talk about this stuff from the perspective of being helpful to the consumer, and I think, we were talking about takeaways from this podcast, and we didn't talk about this, but a good takeaway really is you can, in especially some of these businesses like furniture and cars and houses and stuff, it's almost important to shop for your salesperson, just as important as it is to shop for the whatever you're shopping for. Like,
that is interesting. I wonder why.
Because we've talked about this.
Yeah.
We've talked about it because we've said, and I didn't even think about it until right now, but we have had conversations and said, we want to go to a particular establishment because we're shopping the dealership, the sales experience, the retail experience,
right.
the service experience. We, like, for instance, you can get Sony headphones a whole bunch of places. You could get a MacBook Pro a whole bunch of places. But so much of our experience now in what we buy, if we don't buy it online, is the service and the sales and the experience and the conversations and the relationship with the person, mm-hmm. and all that sort of stuff. So why not spend some time shopping for that, so that that all those other things kind of will fall into place better.
I think it's a great idea.
We've been doing that with some of these projects we've been working on for Music and Mascara, and just in the last couple of days, I think we've met some people who were like, "Oh, I actually like this guy.
Yes.
I feel like we can have a conversation and he can answer my questions. And if I get in a situation where I'm going to move forward, I'll probably call him first."
Yeah.
And having that feeling makes the entire thing so much less, because some of the stuff can kind of be stressful and kind of be
right.
But it's because we don't take that time, I think.
Yeah, sure.
What were your takeaways for this?
So, takeaways from like a consumer perspective is that it's okay to be informed.
Yeah.
It's okay to be prepared.
Yeah.
And then to know, it's always nice to zoom out. So now we've kind of identified personalities of salespeople and why they are like that, and just to zoom out and remember that they do have a task they're trying to accomplish, but it doesn't have to change your purpose.
No.
Like, they have a purpose, you have a purpose. Maybe they don't line up. That's okay.
Yeah, and there's where that little assertiveness, not to the point of being confrontational, but just to the point of making sure that you get what you need.
For sure.
And that your needs are met.
Yep.
And it's okay to stand up for that, and it's okay to speak up.
Yep.
And you can be respectful about it, and
Yeah, and so same thing from like the sales and customer service side of that. The same holds true that you just said. you know, that your customers are going to be different, that they're going to have different personalities. Like, all of that's okay. They're going to come with a level of research, hopefully. Like, all of these things is okay. But typically, if you're in an industry like this where it's like you can walk through a door and it's a commission-based sales structure, those people are there to buy something. Is the first thing that should alleviate some pressure, right? Like, they are there to purchase something. And they probably come with a level of knowledge. So you have to respect that.
Which may be new to you if you've been doing it for a long time, because of what the internet has done for us in the last 10 years or so.
That doesn't mean they're going to come with good information.
And that's true. But it just changes. It does change the fundamental approach that you as a salesperson will take with a customer.
Yep.
Because you don't know what they know.
True. But you have to respect what they know.
Right.
It's just
you're not sure what they know is what I meant to say.
Keep a good relationship going. And then if they literally are walking in the door blind, they don't know, then don't just try to put them in something that you think is good for them. Educate them so that they can still feel like they made an informed decision.
And then hit them for full pop. Just kidding.
Close it.
Hi, Grossum, man.
Yeah. Anyway, and the biggest thing is just to listen.
Yeah.
Listening is very powerful, and many people will tell you everything you need to know without ever asking a question if you listen.
Yep. That's right. No, I think it's been good to obviously experience this more in the last few weeks, and buying things we bought some stuff online. We've had to go into businesses in person. We've done things a few different ways in the last few weeks as consumers that we don't normally do that much. And it was really nice to do that. And I hope that this podcast episode will help somebody, like the next time they have to go buy a car or something, like, I don't know, I feel like that assertiveness thing and that like matching energies with, if it's possible for you to match energies with the other person so that you are accomplishing the same thing. And if you can't, be assertive enough to speak up and say, you know what, I don't think it's going to work.
But the salesperson needs to be mindful of that same thing, right? Like, I don't have anything assertive about me unless you back me in a corner and then I just get mad.
Right.
So a good salesperson, if I walk in the door and I want you to help me with something, a good salesperson should be able to know, if I push this chick too hard, she's going to walk out the door.
Yep.
And so you have to talk, and you have to be open, and you have to be genuine. Like, you have to be genuine. That's probably the biggest thing for me.
Yep.
But anyway, that whole matching thing should kind of come from
both sides,
either direction. But I shouldn't have to. It is not within my personality. We're also dealing with real people personalities. Like, it is not within my abilities to start something assertively.
Oh, right.
Which is why you do all the purchasing.
Yeah, it is.
So, anyway.
It is.
Just a
this has been a fun one
of my own personality.
Thanks, everybody, for subscribing to our channel and for watching our videos. Getting to 1,000 is pretty cool. We have some really cool stuff coming. I hope we've been working on the last couple of weeks, so hopefully if this all comes together, we'll have some neat stuff coming. And
thanks for giving us a week off.
Thanks for giving us a week off. And so that's it. Make sure you subscribe, share, and let us know what you think in the comments about all of this, because everybody has a little different perspective on this, obviously. So that's it. My name is Dylan.
My name is Leslie.
And this is Music and Mascara in the Car podcast.